I asked Coach Ignetti this as well. I know it's maybe not as extreme as dealing with a team that does the triple, but when people talk about preparing for a team that has a strong sort of quarterback run option component in their offense, that extra time, more than just a week, is really helpful. When you have that extra time, what do you focus on with whether it's linebackers, ends, whoever's making those reads that are necessary? What are the keys that you kind of drill with them in terms of both pre and post snap, what they need to be ready for when you have an offense like Notre Dame's that's going to run the quarterback as often as they do?
Yeah, post snap, nothing really changes too much. Our reads are our reads, our keys are our keys, so it all fits into that bucket. But what I can call pre snap can help on some of those pictures. Now, nothing can fully help +1 run game, like a quarterback that's just simply going to run the ball with a lead blocking running back. Like, there's only so many things you can do to account for that. You have to use all 11. You know, they're using all 11 of theirs. We got to use all 11 of ours. So I can work through that with what I call. But in terms of like pre-snap, this and that, we have our reads, we have our fits, get off blocks, make plays, attack.
Yeah, and speaking to some of the guys up front this year and some of the guys that you came over from JMU, they said you've thrown a lot more at them, doing a lot more movement. Is that because you're more comfortable and have more experience with them coaching, multiple years with the guys at JMU? And why do you like them so much, those stunts and twists up front, and how do they impact the offense, or if you think they impact the offense?
Right. Well, to your first question, I think that's part of it. The reason that I've added more is because I've been with those guys for a long time, so they know what a loop game is. Like, how many times are you gonna call a loop, coach? You got anything else? So part of that is them them wanting to do some different things. So that's part of it. And then two is I'm a big fan of angles. I want to create angles and picks and rolls. Like that's a good way of getting home and freeing guys up. So if I can find a new one that Coach Coons, Coach Buda likes, the defensive lineman like, we'll try it. So that's to the first part of the question. Secondly, why do I like it? I like to dictate the terms of where the quarterback's going to go. I can call jet. I can tell my defensive lineman, hey, just rush, right? And they're all just run up the field and they're hitting swims and they're falling down. But why? Because then the quarterback gets to choose where he wants to go. He can step up into this gap. He can feel vertical surge. He can step up in the pocket. I don't want that. I want to tell him where he wants to go, right? Right-hand quarterbacks, maybe they want to escape to their throwing hand, whatever the situation, the game plan is. But I can use stunts to kind of dictate the terms of the quarterback instead of vice versa.
We'll go Pete and then Weaver.
Up here, Brian. The impact that West and Kamara have delivered this year, obviously you brought them in to do so, and they have. What makes them special?
Well, they're both really hard workers. They're both great individuals. They both want to be great. They hold themselves to a very high standard. So that's the first thing. And then in terms of what they bring skill set wise, I mean, two different types of guys, but CJ is a big, powerful guy, and his role is so important because the nose guard in our defense, and in any defense for the most part, is at the center point of everything. He's taking on double teams. He's got to win that one-on-one against the center. It's important to win the middle of the defense, and CJ does that for us. And then similar but a little bit different, the field end is a unique position too, right? It's like the funnel point to, like, are you going to spill the ball and the ball has to like bubble over the top of you, or are you going to build the wall and build it back inside? And each call has kind of its own purpose behind that. But Mikhail kind of dictates the terms. Like am I going to let this ball make it to the field? And if so, is he going to, how much can he make it bubble so the rest of the guys can kind of take great pursuit angles? There's just they're very important roles, and those guys flourish in their roles.
We'll stay on your left with Matt and then go to Todd.
Coach Aiden Fischer has talked often about the connection you guys have, how you're just, really in sync. How important has he been for you, coming here to Indiana and implementing this defense and being right in the middle, being the quarterback, the guy that's got the green dot or whatever it is, and just making everything work so well?
Yeah, I get that one frequently. It's hard for me to put into words how important he's been. Yes, the green dot component and my trust in him, but also like his ability to convey to the other guys. I coach all the linebackers, but sometimes when Fish says, no, you're doing it wrong, you should do it like that, like it coming from one of their teammates is different than Coach Haines yelling at me every single time that I misfit this thing. So he's helped me develop that room, and I'm proud of where that room is at now, the linebacker room. We got young guys that are coming along. But that wasn't just me. That Aiden was a part of that too. So he's part of the culture change here. He's part of my voice, my mouthpiece to the guys on the field. He's the green dot. He's the leader. He's the unquestioned leader. He knows what I want, and he's able to get it done. He gets his 10 teammates to play the right call. So he's I I can't say enough good things about him and what he means to this defense.
Todd on your left, and then Ravi.
Kind of flowing along the same lines, all the guys you brought from JMU, you have one at least one at each level of the defense. What's that personal relationship like with those guys, and how is that kind of passed along from them to their teammates to the field?
Yeah, I've known these guys for a long time. I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, I've known James Carpenter since 2019. I was actually thinking it's going to be weird being in a defense that doesn't have James Carpenter in it. You know, we've been together for so long, so the relationships are close. But that's the case with all the guys now. You know, I'm close with every single one of the players in my own way. It's not that different from a JMU guy to a guy that was here before. I love all those guys, and I'm hard on all those guys, and I want the best for all those guys. So that's the case in terms. But yeah, I love them. They've been great. They've changed the culture. You know, they're a huge part of what you're seeing right now in terms of the change of IU football is those guys that we brought from JMU, no question.
Go third row left to Jeff, and then we'll go to Zoom for Adam.
Yeah, Coach. Coach Signetti was talking about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago, the whole fast, physical, relentless, the concept of we attack, we don't sit back. Just kind of like, when did you guys like decide, okay, this is how we want to play? Were you guys watching another game? Were you watching your own team? Or kind of what was the genesis of when you decided this is who we're going to be defensively?
Yeah, I guess I've just always felt like that's what I would want my defense to be, whether I was calling it or I've been with Coach Signetti for a long time. I started as a defensive line coach. Defensive line coach I'm not calling them defense, but what did I want my defensive line to be? I wanted it to be fast, violent, physical, northbound. I wanted to play in their backfield, right? So like I just took that and then I became a linebacker coach. I wanted that to be part of the linebacker fits too. I wanted to be downhill, aggressive, slipping blocks, getting vertical, playing in their backyard. And so now I'm the defensive coordinator. I'm doing all of it. I want the same thing. So I guess that's never changed on my end. I don't know where like the phrase came from. I don't know where that generated. But in terms of philosophically, I think he and I have just always, that's just who we are. It's who we are from a personality standpoint. We want to attack.
Adam on Zoom.
Yeah, Brian, I'm just wondering, you guys have defended the run so well all year. What type of challenge is this in particular with a team that has multiple backs and a quarterback who obviously can attack you, and all of them are averaging over 5 yards a carry? What's the key to stopping that type of attack?
Yeah, it's a very good rushing attack. I mean, I think it's 10th in the country overall, 224 yards a game, 6.3 a clip. I mean, you can't stop the run if they're going to run the quarterback. I mean, you'd have to overcommit so aggressively to stopping the run that you would put other parts of the defense in peril. So it's not necessarily about stopping the run. It's making the quarterback pay a toll every time he decides he doesn't want to run it. And if that's 20 times, then that's 20 hits for the good guys. So, they're a very good rushing attack. I like our front seven. I think we're aggressive at all levels. We have different things that we can do, whether it's blitzing or mixing the looks up. But he can run some, and he probably will, and he'll probably get some yards. But he'll also get a couple hits from the Hoosiers.
We'll go to Zach B on your right, and then Daniel.
Coach, when you're preparing for a Notre Dame team that has a good tight end and utilizes their tight end well, how do you kind of look back at maybe a game like Michigan where they like to use their tight end? How do you kind of prepare for that scheme-wise?
Yeah, they use their tight ends in a different capacity than Michigan and even Nebraska and those guys, but you definitely have to account for them. Now, again, it's kind of like the same thing as the run fits, post-snap. Like, the rules are the rules. Like, we account for the tight end in all of our defenses, all of our coverages. Having an awareness of where he's at, what his alignment might tell us, those are some of the pre-snap indicators that can kind of help guide us into a better, cleaner reaction time to him getting the ball. But the coverages are the coverages. We're not going to overcompensate for their tight ends, but there's a healthy respect there for what they do with their tight ends.
We'll go Daniel on your right, and then Seth.
On Mikhail, I want to say as someone who Sig mentioned in the fall, he realized this spring he had just reached a whole new level. I'm curious what it was or when you realized that he'd kind of ascended as he ultimately has.
Yeah, well, first thing first on Mikhail is the hardest worker on the defense. He's the hardest worker on the defense. He's the last guy off the practice field. So he's always looking for his own improvement, And when did I start to notice, man, he's really flashing? He's always flashed ever since I've been with him. He seems a little twitchier off the edge, and I think part of this is just a mental thing, too. I think him coming here from group of 5. I'm coming from JMU. Can I roll with the big guys? Can I roll with the Big Ten offensive linemen? And then him recognizing kind of early in spring, maybe like second, third practice, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do the same thing to these guys that I was doing to Sunbelt offensive tackle. So I think it was probably a confidence thing that's shown up too. And he's playing confidently, and when you're playing confidently, you're going to play fast, you're going to play aggressive, and that's what McCall's done all year.
On your left to Seth, and then Jack.
Yeah, Brian. James Carpenter was in here last week and called it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to be in a position like this. I know some of this kind of starts at the top, but for you as a coach, how do you kind of balance, it's just another game with allowing them to kind of appreciate the position they're in?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance there. Of course, it's the biggest game for Carp. Carp played high school at Roanoke Catholic High School. It's an all-in-one high school. I don't know what the student body there is, but a small school guy, walked on to James Madison, and now look at him. He's going to be playing in the college football playoffs, starting defensive tackle. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for all these guys, and I'm excited for the moment too. But we're a process-oriented operation. It's Monday. It's a rainy Monday. We got a Tuesday practice. We got to clean up normal downs. I got to make sure the run fits are tight. You guys know I got to figure out quarterback run still. So it's just another day, And when the game gets here, I'm sure the moment will be awesome and electric environment, all those things. But at the end of the day, run, hit, tackle, swarm. The standard is the standard. Not a football game.
Jack, and then Jim.
Coach, with James Carpenter, when did you realize that it was possible for him to kind of go from a guy you recruited as a walk-on to now how much he means for your defense, and kind of what's that journey been like, see him go from point A to point B?
Yeah. Well, when I recruited him as a walk-on, I just thought, well, this guy can maybe be a pretty good football player at JMU. I didn't necessarily think, well, this is going to be my starting 3 technique in the Big Ten. But credit to him. He's another one of these guys that just doesn't say a lot, but he just never stops working. He wants to get better. He wants to get pushed. He wants to get coached. I think it's one of the reasons that he came from JMU. He liked the scheme. He loves Coach Kuntz. Those guys have a great relationship, and he just wants to constantly push himself. So I'm proud of him and how far along he's come. I could have never seen this 5 years ago in 2019, recruiting him out of Roanoke Catholic High School, but proud of his journey. And the same for a lot of these guys.
Jim, and then last one, Mike.
Coach, Marcus Freeman said one of the things problems you present is all the different formations and fits you throw at them to have to look at and changes they have to look at. What is it that they do so well offensively that you have to worry about, that your unit has to focus on?
Yeah, well, they're a really well-coached offense. They're very balanced. I mentioned like 224 yards running per game. I think it's right at 200 passing a game. That's a very balanced offense. They're balanced even in their tendencies. Like typically what I do when I game plan somebody is I want to figure out how can I attack them. This formation is this. Boom, I can bring that pressure. Or this personnel grouping in that down and distance, I can hit them with this. These guys are balanced. I think they do a really healthy job of self-scouting. They have a counterpunch to anything that they throw at you. So, yeah, just a good, clean offense. And then, guys, at the end of the day, if you're willing to run your quarterback down Main Street, that is unique. Some coaches don't want to do that. You could lose him. You could get hit. So that presents its issues.
Mike, second row on your left.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk to you kind of during the season, but were there any moments that this clicked into place for the group, like that stood out, whether it was a game or response to a game, anything that kind of, you thought that's a playoff-worthy defense or playoff caliber defense for you guys during the season as things kind of developed?
I thought we took a big step coming off of the first bye week. It was when we played Nebraska here at home. I thought the defense took a step there. We made a couple changes schematically. I changed a couple of things coverage-wise and shell rotation, disguise, the staff and I did. I thought we really did a good job of self-scouting and identifying a couple of flaws in our system, and we came up with a couple new ideas that have really paid off. So that's, to me, when I felt like, okay, we have the complete package now, was the Nebraska game. Since then, it still hasn't been perfect. I don't know if it ever will be perfect, but it's a little bit closer to what I would deem as a legit defense.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.